DP Chair Basha assessed that the situation created in the Proscution is a result of Arta Marku's actions. Basha said the country has been hijacked by crime with a blessing from the government. In addition to a unified electricity network, Albania and Macedonia will have another important connection thanks to the implementation of a gas network. Ministers Jiknuri and Bekteshi discussed the steps to be taken to begin the project. An ancient city has been discovered during archaeological excavations on the hill of Babunya in Divjaka, with evidence suggesting it dates back to between the 6th and 3rd centuries BC. Good evening, it's 6 o'clock on Friday, the 21st of September 2018. Welcome to the English edition of Aura News. My name is Alexandra and I'm here to bring you the day's top stories from across the country translated into English. Lulzim Basha attended the Balkan conference that organises the Women's Democratic League in cooperation with the European People's Party Women's Forum that is taking place in Tirana. The head of the Democratic Party commented on the situation created in the prosecution body, while Basha accused the Chief Prosecutor Arta Marku of leaving important cases without prosecutors. As we have warned, Arta Marku's role is to destroy key investigations into politicians associated with crime and bandit-related politics. Crime has taken control of our cities because it has the blessing of the Interior Minister. Public money ends up in bank accounts of corrupt politicians and criminals associated with them through tenders and private-public partnerships that, in most cases, end up in the hands of people with horrendous criminal precedents, said Lulzim Basha. The DP Chair Basha denounced once again the Assembly's approval of two laws, the one on the gambling tax and the one on the construction of the new National Theatre. According to the Democratic leader, these two laws legitimise money laundering through gambling and construction. Let us call on those speaking on behalf of Europe to not deceive us anymore, not to speak with potatoes in their mouths, but to make it clear. Europe does not tolerate crime-related politicians and countries governed by politicians linked to crime, and as such, our country will not move forward on the path to integration, said Lulzim Basha. Meanwhile, the president of the European People's Party for Women, Doris Pack, attentive to the developments in our country, gave this statement. The chief prosecutor is throwing out prosecutors who intend to face dangerous criminals in court and instead assigns them to other duties. This is a symbolic action showing that not only is there not a respect for justice, but an intention to escape court appearances. Of course, this is something that cannot be accepted, said Doris Pack. Meanwhile, EPP Foreign Relations Secretary Patrick Voller, speaking about policy decriminalisation, stressed that this is a key process for Albania and the adopted laws must be implemented. A few days after Germany did so, another country of the European Union has asserted their scepticism of Albania's journey towards opening negotiations. During the international conference on the Balkans, French Ambassador Kristina Vasek has called on Albanian politicians to engage in concrete results from the reforms undertaken. It should be mentioned that France was one of the countries that did not give the green light for the opening of Albania's negotiations. In this way, once again, it is questioned whether a positive decision will be made in June. Albania is pending the opening of negotiations with the European Union in June next year. But to have a positive response from sceptical countries, the criteria that has been given to Albania to open the European gate must be achieved, said Kristina Vasek. The head of the Supreme State Audit, Buja Leskaj, reaffirmed that the institution he represents supports vetting injustice. According to him, this process will be completed only if the punishment by law will be materialised. No reform or process in Albania, including the vetting process, which we as the SSA fully support, and justice reform, will be able to successfully fight corruption if it does not materialise with law. Responsibility must be taken with clear laws that bring offenders and state property abusers to justice, said Buja Leskaj. Confrontations and disappointments between Supreme State Audit and the judiciary have long persisted. The Supreme State Audit has accused the prosecution of having closed open investigations despite evidence of penal offences. After joining the 400 kilowatt interconnection line that is expected to be constructed soon, Albania and Macedonia have started work for a connected gas network as well. Minister of Infrastructure and Energy, Damian Jiknuri, hosted the Minister of Economy for the Republic of Macedonia, Kreshnik Bekteshi, for an official meeting. Minister Damian Jiknuri said that the two countries now head towards the final stages of the tendering process for building the 400 kilowatt interconnection line, and in this example should be followed with the gas. This signature between our two gas companies is extremely necessary. We have the opportunity with this joint project for a cooperation that will be also eligible for EU financial support, as it is an agenda fully compatible with both the Berlin process and the regional connectivity agenda. I am convinced that this pipeline connection will be of great importance for both countries. It will be a very feasible project because we are very close geographically, which causes the project to have a lower cost, but the benefits to be greater, said Damian Jiknuri. Meanwhile, the Macedonian minister stressed that the work of technical groups should be launched as soon as possible. Taking into account the Berlin process, we, as two neighbouring countries, integrate, we connect to each other, not only with the superstructure, but at the same time we start the steps for gas connection. I would like to emphasise the fact that we are more interested in strengthening cooperation, and I want both companies to work as soon as possible, said Kreshnik Bekteshi. Albgaz and Mayor JSC Skopje also signed a memorandum that foresees the establishment of a joint working group for the gas, tasked with evaluating and drafting the project idea for the interconnection line between the two countries. It also provides for the definition of technical parameters, harmonisation of the studies of both countries, and preparation of a final document where the corridor presentation is presented as a single. After the application to the Energy Secretariat will be made in order to place the project on the Projects of Energy Community Interest, PECI, and Projects of Mutual Interest, PMI, lists. In October, the municipality of Tirana will launch the next planting campaign to provide more greenery and clean air to the capital. Mayor of Tirana, Erion Veliai, attended the event organised under the framework of the European Day of Cooperation, announcing that the aim is to plant another 100,000 trees. The mayor stressed the need for cooperation, saying it is the only way to achieve progress. Mayor Veliai called on citizens to join the positive initiatives for the city. If each of you plant a tree for a birthday, Tirana can easily have another 100,000 trees, just like the 100,000 trees we planted last year. Our ambition is to start the planting campaign by the end of October. As this cooperative project teaches us, we all have to lend a hand, said Erion Veliai. To avoid environmental pollution, Mayor Erion Veliai asked citizens to use cloth bags instead of plastic bags due to their severe consequence on nature. Albanian and German archaeologists working in Babunia for the past few weeks have recently discovered relics of fortified walls, homes and streets during excavations 3 metres below the surface. We have discovered parts of an ancient city, including what looks to be a road and possibly a crossroads. The intention is to expand our digging across a greater span of territory to better understand the layout of the dwellings and roads, as well as its chronological evolution among centuries, said archaeologist Edward Shehi. The team of archaeologists believe it was an ancient city built in the second half of the 6th century BC and inhabited until the 3rd century BC. As a city, we think it may have sprung to life in the second half of the 6th century, though there is some evidence that may suggest it was even earlier, while its end is thought to have been in the 4th or 3rd century BC, with an ambiguous end to the abandonment of the city for reasons that remain to be understood and studied further in the future, said the archaeologist. The purpose of the project is to create a map of the ancient cities of Albania, as well as the links between them. Not only the issue of Apollonia, which is the biggest centre near it, but also a series of smaller centres that probably were not fortified cities, but may have been villages, said Edward Shehi. The findings of this mission, as well as the outcomes of future excavations, are expected to shed more light on life and activity on this ancient town that has not yet been identified, but is located in the town of Arnisa. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join me again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.